as our viewers for extended time.
Serving the African American community for over 42 years. Helping us say just what we need right now. Baltimore's inspiration station. Praise 106.1. From the Big Al Studio, Baltimore's #1 accident attorney.
Welcome to the Spirit in Mind broadcast with your hosts, Bishop C. Guy Robinson and Dr. Jonathan Shepherd, where we explore faith and mental health perspectives on current affairs. Let's get into today's discussion with the Spirit in Mind. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Spirit in Mind, where we discuss current affairs with faith and mental health perspectives. I am Bishop Guy Robinson, and I count it a blessing to be able to share with you again for another broadcast of Spirit in Mind. Grateful to have my colleague and co-host, Dr. Jonathan Shepherd, with us as well. Hello, Dr. Shepherd.
Good afternoon, Bishop Robinson.
How's your week been?
Week has been good. Tremendous week.
Wonderful, wonderful. We trust that everyone listening has had a blessed week as well. And we're grateful again for another opportunity to share with you. We appreciate the connection. So, listen, would you do us a favor? If you know someone who's driving or about to get into the car, tell them make sure when you get in the car, you turn to Praise 106.1 live in Baltimore, where it is time for Spirit in Mind. We also encourage you to stay connected with us on any of our social media venues because we love the blessing of connection. Dr. Shepherd is going to run through again how you can stay connected with us and us with you. Dr. Shepherd.
Absolutely, Bishop. And we want you to stay connected. Bishop, there are so many people who have come to me even this past week and said, we're listening to you at the 1 p.m. hour. That is encouraging. I want to just send a shout out to Karen, to Veronica, and others who are listening to us on a weekly basis. And I'm so glad to know that that is happening. You can contact us. We'll start with Bishop first, as he is a pastor of the Tabernacle Church. And you can go to his website and to his Gmail accounts and to his social media accounts and go there, like and share so that you can participate and partake in the sermons and the different activities that Bishop has to offer. He is an author, and so he has authored books and is, I know, still currently working on another book. And so we want you to go patronize and just make sure you show Bishop some love. And then you can go over to my social media sites, and I am there on YouTube and Facebook. And thank you for all the new ads and new views, the ads, I should say, of people who have subscribed to YouTube channel. And I do want to lift up that Spirit in Mind has its own Facebook page, Instagram page, and YouTube page. Please go there and subscribe. We want some new subscribers so that when we go live or when we send something out, you are notified first. And that way you'll stay in touch with all the important information that we're sending out on a weekly basis. And so thank you again. The camaraderie, the connection is so strong. And so thank you as we continue this ministry.
Yes, indeed. We echo all of that and look forward to the ongoing blessing of connection. Thank you, Dr. Shepherd. And listen, Spirit in Mind family, we are starting a new subject and series we want to kind of discuss starting today. And it kind of takes us right into some current things that are going on, just in terms of kind of introduction. There's a poet by the name of W.H. Auden who, at the end of World War II, wrote a Pulitzer Prize winning poem called The Age of Anxiety. The Age of Anxiety. He posed that at the end of that war and all of the existential crises that it had brought about, that he proposed that the world and the nation of the United States particularly was living in an age of anxiety. That was in the modern era.
Wow.
We could probably certainly say, maybe make an argument to say that this is a new postmodern age of anxiety in which we're living, and we've been talking about quiet quitting and the various ways in which we're living in anxious times and the concerns for safety. We talked about those certainly have a lot to do with feelings of anxiety related with that, and we talked even in our news today. Persons just seem to be several tragedies have happened since we last broadcast persons who were, just trigger happy,
Right.
so to speak, if you will, just quick to go to feeling as if they're threatened and exaggerating in some cases the context of the threat. We're living the scriptures, and Jesus said that there'll be a time when the hearts of men will begin to fail them. Speaking of their inner being, their inner selves, their ways of thinking, ways of processing, that the hearts of men would fail them because of fear, which translates to mean stress, anxiety. And so, certainly, amid all of that, we think that this is an appropriate subject, and Dr. Shepherd is going to lead us into this. And we welcome your feedback and engagement on our streaming venues and through other means of staying connected.
Thank you, Bishop. And stress is a word that people don't like to talk about. They will admit they have stress, but they don't want to talk about it. Stress management is one of the topics and one of the major things that I get asked to talk about. And I tell people, I'm managing my own stress. It's one of those things that you could teach and talk about, but let me tell you, you have to learn how to be able to apply what you are sharing with people. Because stress management is real. Stress is real. And today, really the whole month is Stress Awareness Month. And the times that we're living in, and thank you for bringing up some of the tragedies that we've heard of. And thankfully, the person in, I believe it was Kansas City or Missouri, where the young black guy went to the wrong house and honor student, from what I'm understanding, good person, and rung the doorbell. And the person on the other side, a white gentleman in his 80s, trigger happy, just stress, and and again, that there are going to be charges, and we'll see what results. We're not here to talk about that necessarily today, but you have to think about it. People are trigger happy, whether or not they have a gun in their hand or not.
Yes.
They're trigger happy with their words. They're trigger happy with their emotions. People will cut you up in a minute and then think about what they just did. And I wanted to share with you, even as you're driving right now, you're out there shopping, or you might even be in line and listening to us, as I do know that people listen to us on their phones. You know, let's practice some kindness. Let's practice some self-awareness and self-constraint, because when you're stressed, you will say or do things that you normally would not do. And so we want to talk about what stress is. Stress is a state of worry or mental tension that's caused by a difficult situation. I'll repeat that. Stress is a state of worry or mental tension that's caused by a difficult situation. All of us are experiencing or have experienced difficult situations, and it will cause worry, mental tension, and it is a natural human response that prompts us to address the challenges and threats in our lives. That is what stress is. If I was in a congregation or a presentation, I would have you to repeat after me and say, natural human response. That is stress. And there's different levels of stress, Bishop. You have acute stress, you have episodic acute stress, and then you have chronic stress. And I'll share this with you, and then we'll move forward. So, acute stress could be something where it is a deadline that's coming up. For your job or for your school, you have to write a paper and you haven't worked on it yet, and it's due on Sunday. And that is causing you stress. You just lost your car keys. You're out in the mall listening to us and you dropped your keys, can't find them. Yes, these are acute stressors. And the thing about acute stress that is wonderful is that emotions and your body return back to a normal state when you are in acute stress. Then you have episodic acute stress, which is where we have repeated tight work deadlines. And we see that in various professions, such as my profession in medicine, frequent high stress situations. A lot of healthcare workers out there. That's why you see so many who are retiring early, burned out. Teachers, Bishop, I mean, it's amazing how many educators, because they walk into the room. And actually, that was even something I saw recently where the teacher took the phone from a young person, and the young person went after the teacher and said, "You're going to give me that phone." Now, that's not the words that that young person used. I am cleaning it up a whole lot. And began to fight and swung on the teacher. Can you believe that? So teachers are at a high stress level. And if there's some teachers out there, come on, share with us. Put some comments out there. If you know what you're dealing with. And then you have chronic stress. I'll conclude here, Bishop. This is where you just continue to live in a high, stressful situation consistently. So you might find yourself in a high crime neighborhood. Racism, as Black people, yes, we live in chronic stress. When we wake up in the morning, we are in chronic stress because of the color of our skin, constantly fighting with your life partner. It's never ending stress. That's chronic stress. And you get to a point where there's difficulty seeing any improvement in those situations. So again, you have acute stress, episodic acute stress, and chronic stress. And I'm sure we're going to deal with each one. I just want to lay it out to you as we lay the foundation on what stress is.
Yes, yes. It's so important, a subject we're covering today. And Dr. Shepard said it kind of transcends a couple of professions. Dr. Shepard said medical profession, educational profession, certainly, put on my Episcopal hat, pastoral profession, all three forms, acute, episodic, and chronic.
Right.
And others. It's just the helping professions, period.
Yeah.
And emergency responders, police officers, and others. If you are in the business of helping people, the Apostle Paul said it, and I love what you said, Dr. Shepard. You said people, you're helping people even as you're processing your own experiences.
Right.
And man, I could totally relate with you on that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And,
Yes, sir.
we're being healed even as we are instruments of healing,
Right.
God's healing. Paul put it this way, I have to kind of like work on myself, lest having preached to others,
Right.
I myself become a castaway.
Right.
And so we just, it's good to be mindful um, of the realities of the stress and the age of anxiety that we're living in. And Dr. Shepard, you can expand on this a little bit, but I've been talking to a number of teachers,
Yeah.
specifically working on educators who are talking about the anxiety and the stress factors that they are experiencing in their student body, young ages. In fact, right now I'm working with a couple of schools and equipping every classroom with what is called calm corners.
Wow.
Because of some of them have talked in terms of creating stages of intervention, and the first stage being every classroom has a calm corner where students can process essentially their issues and struggles, and then after a certain period of time, be approached to come back to resume learning with the rest of the class. If they're not ready, then they go to phase two, which is going to see the on staff mental health professional. So
Wow.
the point is that it's even affecting, seems to be even affecting our student body, which represents our young adults and youth are experiencing this stress too. And I know you could elaborate on that, certainly.
Yeah, Bishop, now I'm just wondering, is this happening at the college level where they're having these calming corners? I just was curious because I have not heard of this. Is that happening at the college level, high school level, elementary?
Mostly at the grade school.
Grade school. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, Bishop, we need some at the college level too.
Indeed.
I wish there was a calming corner. We even need a calming corner in some of our jobs, and I would send people over there.
Yeah.
Just to calm down. Even as people are coming into your place of employment or lobbies where you're waiting for different professional services, You can watch the tension rise.
Yes. Yes.
It's amazing. And so we work with even people in our front office and receptionists on how to be able to de-escalate and calm people down,
Hmm.
because when they're entering in to a place where they can get help, many of them are already on 10,
Yeah.
really past 10. And then if you don't have anything there to help bring them down, by the time it's time for their session or appointment, whatever it may be, it can really be hard. And I found myself, Bishop, I'll be honest with you, when it comes to working with people, whether it be a true bona fide appointment or just a consultation or just even friends, you got to gauge where people are at.
Hmm.
I have to do that too. Acute stress right now is so big. And even though I said that normally the emotions and the body can return to the normal state, you have to be careful when you're going through an acute stress episode, because if you can, if it happens so fast and your body responds, your blood pressure can spike, you
Yeah.
know. And if it continues to happen like that, and this may be even more so with the episodic acute stress, you can actually blow an artery. What do you mean blow an artery? That means that's what happens when you stroke out, when people have strokes. When you continue to have acute stress against that blood vessel, and blood vessels, anybody out there in medicine know that blood vessels are very thin, very thin, very thin, very pliable. When blood goes through it, that's why blood vessels can change. They can move around, but they're so thin, if the pressure keeps on hitting against it, it's going to blow. Just think about it. If you continue to chip away at something, something that is hard to open, and you keep punching at it and you keep chipping away at it, eventually it's going to break down. And that's why we want to make sure today, as we deal with this new series on stress, we don't want you to break down. Oh my Lord. We don't want to see you on the side of the road. And I'm speaking figuratively now. We don't want you to see you on the side of the road broke down because of stress. I'll say this, and let Bishop take it from here. Stress is going to happen to us, you all. It is normal. The Bible talks about stress. It talks about how we're going to handle difficult days. Remember, I said difficult situations is what brings on stress. There will be days that are better than others, and there'll be some days that are worse than others. But yet, and still, there is management of those days. When you are experiencing that tension, that worry, I can even feel, even as we're talking about this now, there are people out there, you're worried about what's going to happen next week. You're driving, your driving is even tense. You're holding on to that steering wheel or wherever you're watching on, and you're clutching it so tight. I've seen Bishop where people's hands are so white from clutching something because it's so, and
Hmm.
they don't even realize it. They're so tense. Their shoulders and body language just look so tense. We're hoping today that as we start this series on stress management, it'll begin to help you to lower your stress levels so that you won't keep punching up against various areas, especially for those who got hypertension, high blood pressure, those who have other comorbid conditions where the stress is just adding on to the breakdown of your physical body and even your mental body. So, yes, this topic is so important. I really wish we could get some people out there. Come on, let us know how you're dealing with the stress or what stresses are you dealing with, because we want to hear what you have to say. We want to meet those needs.
Absolutely, absolutely. And since this is Spirit of Mind, we'll talk about maybe some things that you might consider, even as persons may feel led to write in what is helping them. Let's start with a few spiritual things. I would say this is why it's so important to be connected to faith community. And I know for some that may seem like a very simple, light or trite response, but we can't take that for granted in this day. There's so much isolation
Yeah.
going on and so much strong and almost radical individualism.
Wow.
And so there's healing in community and in mutual encouragement and in having meaningful relationships. So faith community is still so very strong. I've said in previous Spirit of Mind episodes that there's actual studies and evidence-based research to show the effects of faith-based connection and community on life expectancy.
Hmm.
It just puts things in a more favorable light, or more hopeful light, for us to be connected to faith community. So it's so interesting that Dr. Shepard even talks about persons that he services who are literally gripping things, and it's showing up in their body as they're worrying about tomorrow. Because one of the scriptures that I was going to quote today is Matthew 6 and 34,
Yes, sir.
in which Jesus says in Matthew 6 and 34, don't be anxious about tomorrow. And so hope we can catch ourselves. He
Wow.
says today has enough for us to focus on, to kind of paraphrase it. That's really the biblical substratum and precedent for things that we call like mindfulness and
Right.
being in the present moment, because so much of our anxiety is a future oriented, worry
Oh,
and
yes.
stress kind of thing. And so this ability to kind of live in the moment, and maybe even catch ourselves. And sometimes I have to work on that too.
Mhm.
I'm a pastor. I can even sit here now and worry about who's coming to church tomorrow.
Right, right, right,
But
right.
I have to catch it and like be in the moment. Everything right here, what's going on now, it's well, rather than to imagine a reality that hasn't occurred yet and begin to physically and spiritually and mentally respond to a worst case scenario that hasn't even happened yet because I'm living in a tomorrow.
Wow.
That's so powerful that Jesus says, no, worry about today's concerns. Work on what you can.
Hmm.
I don't want to say it, but it's really, this is Jesus doing act therapy, really, like acceptance and commitment, like accept the things of right now
Wow.
that you cannot change, and live where you are and commit to the things you can do right now to be healthier in this moment. So, Dr. Shepard, you can take it from there. I just want to start to give at least one, keep your faith connections, and hold on to your faith, would be one I would throw in there for us to consider.
Absolutely. Wow. Sufficient is the enough of the worry that we have today. So
Yeah,
that so there that yes, and I hear you out there because I actually concur with you. I've got enough to worry about today,
today.
Lord Jesus.
And we could do
And-
something about those things, which is a
right,
little more, a little more helpful. We can't do anything about an imaginative tomorrow, worst case scenario.
absolutely. Because I think about it, Bishop, is that some people actually die before the actual event occurs because of the anxiety.
Yeah, yeah,
We've talked about this before about people on airplanes and they're about to crash, and they have shown that you could have survived the crash, but it was the anxiety that killed them, not the crash.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Isn't that something where you could have survived the trauma, but it's the anxiety that's surrounding it. And I've seen so many people, really abort what's going to happen before the event even occurs or even being able to be manifested, if you would. That is just
Because the hearts of men will fail them, he said, because
yeah,
of fear.
right, right,
Not because of the moment, but because
right,
of the fear of
right,
what's to come. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
And when you have chronic stress, such as that, your body breaks down. So some of us may be suffering from colds, from sickness, because chronic stress will break your mind down. It breaks your physical body down. It weakens your immune system. You're not able to fight as strong as you normally would. So if you're thinking about that as to why am I continuing to get these colds? Now, I know allergy season is bad this year. That's true because we did not have a cold winter. But if you continue to look at how you're managing the stress and you're always tired and you're finding yourself waking up, you're not rested and you're barely able to move and you're just real sluggish, it may be due to chronic stress, not getting enough sleep. You're worrying about what's going to happen the next day. And Bishop, let me tell you, being a planner like I am, I have to reread that scripture so I can digest it because I am. I'm a person who thinks about the future. And I was just listening to a guest preacher who was at my church Sunday, and he said something so profound. He said, we will rejoice and get excited about things that happened in the past. We're such a historical church. And I'm not saying it just like he is. But he said, what happened to rejoicing about the things that we know that are going to work out in the future? You know, we have to put just as much energy about the rejoicing, being glad about the things that happen, about the things that are going to happen. And let me tell you, Bishop, thank you, because that helps to shift the mindset for
Mhm.
those persons so that we can make sure that we're not allowing whether it be acute stress, episodic acute stress, or chronic stress to diminish and dilute the victory that God wants to give us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Shepard. And I pray as we're about to wrap up that you will live in the help and hope of that, that there is help, there's hope, there's some place to go. I end with Psalm 61 and 2, and then we'll do some more as the Lord gives us grace to continue in future episodes. But Psalm 61 and 2 says, when my heart is overwhelmed, you know, when this on top of that and this and so many things are piling up, lead me to the rock, which means there's somewhere for us to go, you know, and that leading may give us immediate solution or may also give us strategic solution,
Wow.
you know, because the same God, look at how God works miracles to help people stress. Sometimes he says, go show yourself to the priest, go wash in the pool of Siloam. You know, he can also say, you know, go to Zarephath, go to the potter's house. You know, he can also say, go to the therapist's office, go talk to your pastor. But there's help and there's hope when we begin to call on the name of the Lord and acknowledge that we're in this place of distress. You know, as the hymn said, in my distress, he gladly will aid me because he ever loves and cares. So God cares for you. And so I know we're in our last moments, and your spirit and mind has helped you. Do please make plans to be with us as we continue in the weeks to come on this important subject. Dr. Shepard will give us our closing words.
Absolutely. Please join us. And we hope that at some point be able to even have people call into the show, Bishop.
Yes.
Man, we would love to hear from our listeners, and you can talk a little bit about the stress. And they may even help relieve some of the stress. So I look forward to that, Bishop. So please, you all tune in as we continue this conversation.
And by God's grace, we'll see you next time on Spirit in Mind. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at Spirit in Mind. And we're also on Instagram at Spirit in Mind